on, why you got Sack and Juvie tatted on you? They not dead. I wouldn't tat nobody on me that's not dead. 2 days after that, these boys dead.
Well, it just, which one were you close with?
Both of them. Every last one of them.
Mel's whole case just flipped upside down because a close homie finally leaked that late-night interrogation footage tied to the situation that ended everything for Sack Chaser and Juvie. What came out has the streets buzzing and the internet shaking because this new clip might switch up everything people thought they knew about that night. These leaked videos from November 2025 show Jacoby Mills, somebody who was actually there, giving one of the clearest inside breakdowns we've ever seen. And this ain't some blurry phone screen. This is straight from the official room. This raw interrogation tape has everybody replaying it like they're solving the case themselves. Mills wasn't some random bystander either. He was in the red car prosecutors say was trailing the Jeep connected to the whole situation. So what he shares hits different because he knew the crew, the tension, and the moves being made that night. But to understand why these clips are shaking things up so hard, we gotta roll back to how this whole case even began.
I already know what y'all ready for.
Well, it just, which one were you close with?
Both of them. Every last one of them.
Did you grow up with them?
Every last one of them.
Mills explains that everyone was acting off, not their usual playful, focused selves, and Sack Chaser was moving with extra edge, even tapping people awake if they drifted off, creating tension instead of creativity. By 3:19 a.m., the session was a bust, the energy was heavy, and everyone agreed it was time to head out. The group split into 2 rides. The red Mitsubishi carried Trivian Glass, Dontavius Withers, Jacoby Mills, and Adrian Davis, while the gray Jeep Cherokee carried Cortland Henry behind the wheel, Anthony Williams in the front, Christopher Thomas in the back, and Melly sitting behind the driver. Surveillance cameras caught both cars taking the same highway route at first, I-95, then 595, then toward Miramar Parkway, just a normal late-night drive after a long studio grind. But things turned strange fast. The red Mitsubishi rolled through the guard gate at Sunset Lakes at 3:50 a.m. like usual, but the gray Jeep never appeared on the cameras inside the gated neighborhood. Instead, cell phone records later showed the Jeep going north. That's where everything gets eerie, because the Jeep reportedly traveled up 181st, then west toward a dark stretch near the Everglades, a quiet zone where nobody would be around at that hour. The vehicle then moved down US 27 and turned onto a dead-end road near a trash facility, a spot completely cut off from any traffic or witnesses. According to the records, this isolated area is where the tragic incident is believed to have unfolded at 4:02 a.m. And here's where investigators hit a shocking twist. When police searched the entire stretch of Miramar Parkway, the supposed drive-by location, they found nothing. No glass, no casings, no marks, nothing that matched the story originally given. Then the medical examiner added another layer, explaining that by the time the drive-by was staged, both victims were already gone, and any marks on the outside of the vehicle came after everything had already ended inside the Jeep.
Pulled that gun on me.
Saying Kobe pulled a gun on her?
Yep, 5:30 that morning. She called out of work and she called. Wait, stop. And you really can't even tell Courtney. I know what. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
That's what she told Mariah too, because that's what Mariah told me. Jamie just called me at 8 and told me.
Melly called her at like 5:30 that morning.
This led prosecutors to claim that Melly and Bortland didn't just face a tragic moment. They allegedly created a whole cover story, driving around with the bodies and firing into the Jeep afterward to make it look random, which is why this case has been one of the most shocking stories in hip-hop history. The prosecution didn't stop at timelines. They pulled out screenshots too, including Instagram messages where someone asked Melly about the situation and he allegedly replied, "I did that. Shh." They also argued that Melly had ties to the G-Shine blood set and had reportedly been learning the group's loyalty oath just 2 days before everything went down, adding even more fuel to the narrative they were building around him. The first trial ended in a mistrial back in July 2023 when the jury couldn't come to a unanimous decision. Since then, delays kept stacking up, and now the retrial is officially set for January 2027, with Melly sitting behind bars for more than 6 years without a conviction. Meanwhile, his co-defendant Bortland accepted a plea deal in October 2025 for accessory-related charges, creating even more tension around the case. This leads to why these leaked interrogation clips are shaking the internet so hard. Jacoby Mills, also known as Teezy, is reportedly Bortland's blood cousin and one of the people in the red car that night. That puts him close enough to understand what was happening, but far enough away that he was able to walk out and live to explain his side of the story. The videos came from January 2019, recorded just a few months after the tragedy, before most of the details ever hit the public. That timing alone makes his statements feel heavy, because he's describing things long before news outlets or social media had any insight into how deep this situation went. The fact that this footage suddenly leaked in November 2025, right while the retrial is being prepared, raises major questions. On October 26, 2018, rising rappers Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams and Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr. were found in a Jeep Cherokee at Memorial Hospital in Miramar after what was reported as a drive-by type hit, with Cortland YNW Bortland Henry saying he rushed them there after the vehicle got struck. At first, the story sounded like another heartbreaking moment where young men get caught in street chaos. But once investigators dug deeper, reports say the evidence started telling a very different tale. Instead of everything coming from outside the Jeep like a classic drive-by, forensic work and autopsy findings allegedly pointed to the strikes coming from inside the vehicle, the same spot where Melly was said to be sitting, which is exactly why this case became one of the most heated conversations in hip-hop. The prosecution says that around 1 a.m. on October 26, 2018, 8 young men pulled up to New Era Studio in Fort Lauderdale to work on music. But according to the leaked interrogation tape, the whole mood felt twisted from the moment they walked in.
Remix the Melly song. Listen to that. What he said, bust a nigga head, son.
Was this a strategic play to sway public opinion? Did it surface because of ongoing civil cases? Or did it simply emerge now because of discovery files? Either way, the timing is wild. The hip-hop world reacted instantly, from big commentators to everyday users online. Some people see the footage as the moment that seals Melly's guilt, while others think Mills is breaking the street code to protect himself. What makes it even more intense is that Mills repeatedly denies being a snitch during the questioning, saying he's only trying to help his people, yet the details he gives are so sharp and damaging that it's hard to imagine who they help besides the prosecution. And now we get into the real chaos. The part where Mills begins laying out a minute-by-minute recap of that night, and the way he breaks it down is so vivid it'll give you chills just hearing it. Mills keeps insisting that Bortland wasn't built for that type of life. He describes him as someone who wouldn't be capable of carrying out violence like that, which lines up with why Bortland only accepted accessory charges instead of facing heavier accusations. But Mills doesn't stop at the what. He dives into the why, and that's where things get messy. He suggests everything might have been a setup and even compares it to other high-profile street cases. Then he drops a bomb, questioning how NBA YoungBoy supposedly knew details about the situation, claiming YoungBoy hinted at things in posts and an alleged remix. Now here's the important part. No federal records, no verified music release, and no official investigation link YoungBoy to any of this. Nothing concrete backs that claim, but Mills bringing up YoungBoy at all shows how tangled street politics and rap industry beefs can get, especially when two crews have a history of tension. What makes Mills's account hit even harder is how many details he described in 2019 ended up matching evidence revealed years later. For example, he mentioned Juvie's thumb being severely injured long before the autopsy details came out in 2025. He also correctly described where Melly was picked up by Fredo Bang, something that wasn't confirmed publicly until cell phone records surfaced during the trial. Throughout the entire interrogation, Mills keeps saying he's not snitching, claiming he's only trying to protect his people and stop anything worse from happening. At one point, he even says he fears his family could be harmed because he spoke to investigators, showing just how heavy the pressure around him really was. When these clips leaked online, the reaction was absolutely wild. Hip-hop commentators like DJ Academics jumped on the footage instantly, while fans across Reddit, Twitter, and everywhere else started arguing about whether Mills is telling the truth or just trying to save himself. Some call him a reliable witness. Others say he broke the street code and can't be trusted. What makes this even more intense is how these revelations tie into the bigger themes of loyalty and betrayal. In the streets, And in hip-hop culture, cooperating with law enforcement is seen as crossing a line. But when someone's friends are gone and another friend is suspected of causing it, those rules start getting blurry real fast. Now we step into the final chapter, the fallout. And trust me, the shockwaves from these leaked tapes are hitting hip-hop from every direction. We're no longer talking about just one case. We're talking about how this entire situation is reshaping conversations about loyalty, truth, street codes, and the industry culture surrounding them. Mills starts by explaining that the whole vibe at New Era Studio felt completely off that night. They got there around midnight, but instead of the usual late-night grind, everybody was drained, drifting off, and barely focused. And in the streets, nobody wastes paid studio hours unless something deeper is brewing. That's when his story takes a sharp turn. Mills describes Sack Chaser as being extra aggressive, snapping on people for falling asleep and trying to control the whole room. And when someone starts disrespecting the crew in front of everybody, that's usually the beginning of real tension, the kind that doesn't fade overnight. Mills also says Sack Chaser had a wild streak and a reputation for getting physical, which lines up with rumors about ongoing money issues inside the group. People have whispered for years that certain members felt they were owed a cut of Melly's deals. And according to the leaked audio, Sack Chaser believed he was basically the CEO of YNW and deserved half of anything Melly earned. Then Mills breaks down the car placements that night, a detail prosecutors called crucial. He says the Jeep had Bortland driving, Sack Chaser in the front seat, Melly behind the driver, and Juvie behind Sack Chaser. Mills himself was in the red car with Tay Fetty and Adrian Davis. Here's where it gets eerie. Mills claims he tried to get in the Jeep at first but felt something pulling him away from it. Like intuition telling him not to go. Whether you believe in instinct or something higher, he's saying he sensed danger in that setup. He also mentions Juvie grabbing weapons from the studio before they left, and that Melly had a brown satchel with what people assumed was a weapon inside. Prosecutors later used this to suggest that the situation that unfolded wasn't spontaneous at all. When they reached the house in Sunset Lakes, nobody had keys, so everyone waited outside until folks eventually went in and crashed. But around 4 a.m., Mills got a chilling call from his mom saying someone contacted her and warned that the group was gone. That kind of threat hitting a parent in the middle of the night means things were way deeper than a studio argument. Mills says he then saw multiple missed calls from Melly, including 17 calls to Drew, their videographer, which told him instantly something serious had gone down. But the moment that shook everyone the most was his next claim. Mills says Melly FaceTimed him after everything happened and was pretending to cry with no real tears, acting devastated even though Mills believed it was all an act to sell the story. Mills explains that in the streets, being able to flip emotions on and off like a switch is something only the coldest individuals can pull off. And according to him, Melly acted calm and collected right after the whole situation unfolded, almost too calm. Mills claims Melly showed fake tears during a FaceTime call, saying he was devastated, but Mills insists it looked more like acting than real pain. He also describes seeing Melly later at Fredo Bang's house, saying Melly had changed into a tank top and gym shorts, a detail that raised eyebrows because switching clothes after a major incident can sometimes point to someone trying to get rid of anything that ties them to the scene. Other witnesses during the trial also mentioned clothing changes, adding weight to Mills's claims. Then comes one of the craziest parts of his story. Mills says that the following morning, the group went into the woods and actually found a .40 caliber handgun soaked in blood. He claims he even held it before a manager grabbed it from him. They also searched for a second weapon, something like a textile firearm, but never found it. This is huge because prosecutors always said law enforcement never recovered the weapon used, and Mills's version suggests the crew disposed of it themselves, explaining why investigators came up empty. Through all of this,